I buy a bottle of water every time I drive through Bergen County from the guy that meets me at the traffic light,
Bergen County, something else.
but it's insidious. It's everywhere. Even my hometown. What were you looking for?
This, it's right here. I'm just not together.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
looking for. This is what ready?
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2024 to the News Record and the Star Ledger in December 2023, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Wright,
Here.
Daffis,
Present.
Mr. DeLuca,
Here.
Sengel.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has a discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire of the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, Township Maplewood, does hereby prohibit except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
Moved.
Second.
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca.
Yes.
Sengel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, unusual, usually Tuesdays, November 6th meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. Before I go through the agenda real quick, I just wanted to make a little statement for all of us thinking today. It's been a weird day. So this is kind of a hard meeting for us to have tonight. I know that so many of us are dealing with a lot of emotions today after yesterday's presidential election results. I also know that 1,179 of our residents voted for Donald Trump and 11,990 voted for Kamala Harris. So these comments are mostly to address our almost 12,000 residents who might be feeling some major emotions today. Like with any disappointment or loss, this is a period of grieving. I ask our residents tonight to go ahead and feel what you feel. Go ahead and be sad or angry or scared or worried. It's okay and it's necessary for your well-being to do so. It's important to feel these hard feelings so that eventually you can let them go. And when you're ready to do so, do what so many of our community members already do. They get involved, they work hard to make a difference, whether locally or nationally. And to paraphrase Vice President Harris today, this is a time to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and for the future we all know we can build together for our country. So with that, I will just go over the agenda and just everybody, take care of yourselves. It's been rough. So we move on and we do what we do. And to that end, we will run our meeting tonight. First, we'll start off with a proclamation for Native American Heritage Month. We will have the Board of Health meeting. Then we will have public comment on agenda items only. Then we will have introduction of about 5 ordinances, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and then we will have reports from departments, administrative reports, dealing with 2025 budget presentations. We will have from our administrator, our township attorney will then give her report, and so will our township clerk. We will then hear from our elected officials, Committee Member Engel, Committee Member DeLuca, Committee Member Daffis, Deputy Mayor Kripe, and then me. Discussion items, we have just one for this evening, best practices, and that's with regard to our audit, correct? Budget.
In regard to
Oh,
the state's
it
best
goes-
practices program. Yep.
Yes, sorry, best practices for operations that kind of came out of the audit. So then we have the consent agenda, and then we have another public comment on any subject matter. So with that, I will ask Deputy Mayor Kripe to read our proclamation for this evening.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. This proclamation is for Native American Heritage Month and Native American Heritage Day. Whereas in 1990, President George H.W. Bush signed into law a joint resolution designating the month of November as the first National Native American Heritage Month, followed by President Barack Obama signing legislation in 2009 establishing the Friday following Thanksgiving as Native American Heritage Day. And whereas in light of the dual Heritage Month and Day celebrations, we highlight the Nanticoke Lenape people, the tribal nation that inhabited the lands that would become Maplewood. And whereas it should be recognized that the Nanticoke and the Lenape are two separate tribes who, due to a shared history, as the Nanticoke originated from the Lenape in ancient times, have long intermarried and have formed a compound name that honors the two dominant ancient tribes, which form the modern tribal nation. And whereas for over 10,000 years, the Nanticoke and Lenape have lived, thrived, and existed in the area that would become Manhattan to western Pennsylvania, down to southern Delaware. And whereas since 1982, New Jersey has officially recognized the Nanticoke Lenape, even though that's double dipping, I'll tell you about it later, which is its headquarters in Bridgerton and is currently led by the chairman-in-chief, Ure Ridgway. And whereas to be an ally and advocate who uplifts the voices of others, we point to those listening to the Nanticoke Lenape website, nanticoke-lenape.info. They have a free ebook called We Are Still Here, which provides a brief history of the tribal families, dispels inaccuracy in common assumptions or media depictions, and provides an understanding of who the Nanticoke Lenape are today, not just in the past. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of Mayor Nancy Adams and on behalf of the rest of the Township Committee of Maplewood, we proclaim November Native American Heritage Month and Friday, November 29th, 2024, Native American Heritage Day, and ask citizens again to visit the nanticoke-lenape.info website to learn more about the Nanticoke Lenape people, their history and culture, and become informed about our local Native population. Thank you.
Thank you. That's why I asked you to read it, because of that tongue twister that is part of that. And I
Yeah.
knew you could do it. Thank you. With that, we'll move into the Board of Health meeting for this month, and I'll turn it over to Board of Health Chair, Committee Member Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2024 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2023, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Scribe,
Here.
Daffis,
Here.
Luca,
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here.
Ms. Engel.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7A provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health, Township of Maplewood does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kripe?
Here.
Mr.
Yes.
Daffis?
Yes.
Luca?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes. I move the approval of the Board of Health meeting minutes from October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Ms. Kripe?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Luca?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes. Now I turn things over to our health officer, Candace Davenport.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
We'll advance our slides to the first slide, which is to let everyone know that we are in health insurance enrollment is now open for New Jersey Family Care. And so as we look forward to November, this is the slide that shows how people can apply for New Jersey Family Care healthcare coverage. Open enrollment is open through January 31st. If you sign up for health insurance by December of this year, you'll have coverage starting January 1st of 2025. So we encourage everyone to do so. If you have already enrolled in insurance, please check your mail because there will be a package in there for renewal. So be sure to do that so you don't lose your health insurance. Next slide, please. Our Department of Community Services is hosting a Medicare enrollment presentation at the Maplewood Community Center, and that will be on Wednesday, November 12th at 12 p.m. So please attend that if you're interested in information. It will be provided by the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, or SHIP. Next slide. Our nursing update, I do want to make note and say thank you to Anna Markarova, our nurse, and our local health outreach coordinator, Sarah Taylor, who put together the next coming events that I'm going to report on. So nursing report for October, we've had 10 reportable diseases investigated. And October 7th, when the county came for health screenings, we were able to provide the following services of diabetes risk assessments, stroke risk assessments, and other screenings like glucose screenings. We were also able to provide an employee wellness day where we had Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas nurses and doctors come and screen 12 people, and 31 flu shots were given to employees. So that was great, and everyone was very appreciative of that. Next slide. We were also able to provide through the county a flu vaccination clinic for the general public, and 29 flu vaccinations were given out. And thanks again to the Department of Community Services for allowing us to use the Hart Community Center. Next slide. Moving forward, we are waiting on the state and the county to release COVID-19 vaccinations, where we'll be able to provide them for free to homebound residents. If there are homebound residents or their caregivers who are interested in getting a free homebound vaccine, COVID vaccine, please contact our public health nursing supervisor, Anna Markarova. Next slide. We also received this new information just this afternoon from the county. They are providing a COVID-19 vaccination clinic for pediatrics. That's for anyone ages 6 months to 11 years who is unable to get a COVID-19 vaccine from their pediatrician. They can get it for free on next Thursday, November 14th, from 3:30 to 6:30. The van is located in Cedar Grove, and you have to make an appointment, but this is probably one of the only times if people are looking for the COVID-19 vaccine for their infants or young children. If they can't get it at their pediatrician, they can get it here for free. Our next slide is the township is offering and partnering with Walgreens for a COVID-19 and flu vaccine clinic next Friday, November 15th. They will be offering a COVID-19 vaccine for 3 years old and up, as well as the standard flu vaccine for 3 years old and up, and a high-dose vaccine for 65 and over. Insurance is required, but Walgreens will cover those who are uninsured who need the flu vaccine. Next slide. Just want to talk about the benefits of COVID-19 vaccine as we move into COVID-19 flu and RSV season. The COVID vaccine can prevent COVID-19 disease and can help reduce the severity of COVID-19 disease if you are sick. It can also lower the risk of severe illness, hospitalization, and death, and prevent long COVID. So we just want to reiterate and make sure that people understand the benefits of getting this vaccine. Next slide talks about the recommendations for people who are immunocompromised or not immunocompromised. And there are different criteria and guidance from the CDC. So you can follow that for those who are moderately or severely immunocompromised and those who are not. Next slide. The county also has provided us with free COVID-19 test kits. These are also from the federal government. So you can pick up two COVID test kits. There's two tests in each kit at the Maplewood Health Department, and we have them available until supplies last. You can also order them through covidtest.gov, and they get delivered to your home directly. So these are handy for the holidays if you are going to plan on visit some family members who are elderly or immunocompromised, and protect them as well. Moving on to measles. So if you've been keeping up with the news, on October 10th, the State Health Department reported a laboratory confirmed case of measles in Monmouth County. Four additional secondary cases of confirmed measles have been identified with contact with this initial case. All of the 5 cases are unvaccinated. These cases are in Monmouth and Middlesex County. And so next slide. The State Health Department has advised that anyone who's been exposed in any of these locations or times, they may have been exposed to measles. So if you are unvaccinated, you may want to contact your healthcare provider. The best way to prevent measles, and I'm not going to read everything out here, but the best way to prevent measles is to get vaccinated. Follow the CDC guidelines for children to get vaccinated for 2 vaccines after 1 year of age and 4 years of age. And for anyone born after 1957 who has not had measles infection before, should all be vaccinated. If you're planning on international travel, we do encourage you to get vaccinated, especially if you're going into a place that has an active case of measles. Next slide. We're going into our environmental health and animal control update and report. So for environmental health for October, we've had 14 restaurant inspections and 7 mobile food trucks, 27 complaints, and 12 notice of violations and 6 summonses. So we have been very busy in the environmental health staff. For animal control, they have the report for September. Most of those 25 calls were for wildlife. So just want to make you aware of that. For social services and mental health, just wanted to bring up, thank you very much. Wanted to bring up that we had the Reach for Recovery County mobile van here on 10/23, and we saw 15 people. That's an increase from what we saw last month prior to. And then this month, on Wednesday, November 27th, that's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, they will be here again at the community fridge from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., offering services such as substance use assessment, health and wellness screenings, care and coordination, Narcan distribution, and community resource sharing. All of this is free. So we ask everyone to come and take advantage of it and meet the service providers for that. Finally, we always end our presentation with phone numbers for Make the Right Call. For those who are experiencing anxiety or stress or feeling overwhelmed about the situation and the outcome of the presidential election, we always encourage people to call the mental health crisis and suicide hotline, which is 988, because it is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to speak to a mental health professional. One of my last slides, sorry, I thought that was my last slide, but we have one more. Our crisis intervention social workers, as you know, we put out a press release regarding our crisis intervention social workers this week. For the month of October, they had 14 total cases. 6 of those were co-response with our police officials, and 9 of those were clinical cases. So it is my pleasure to introduce a great partner that we've had over the last 6 months for our homeless outreach and engagement program. I'm going to have Pam Baker, who's the Deputy Director of Homeless Services with CSP&J, which is Collaborative Support Programs of New Jersey, speak and tell you about some of the highlights and successes that we've had. Thank you.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm little, so I don't want to talk real loud.
Yeah.
All righty. So, hey, how are you? I'm Pam, as she already introduced me. So I oversee all of our homeless services, right? Which that includes a variety of our homeless services across the state, diversion prevention, our drop-in centers, our warming centers, and then our statewide outreach, which obviously includes this lovely Maplewood. So just to kind of know a little bit about us, which I think you already do, but just in case for the folks that don't, we are a peer-led agency. So I think it's important to mention because it's really important to us about the way that we believe we engage, right? It's the way that we can reach people better. Having that experience, having that lived experience, all the way from our outreach teams all the way up to our executive board, really helps for us. We think make the connection with folks by being able to really meet people where they're at and being able to identify with what they have going on. So I think, again, it's just kind of something that we really like to kind of pride ourselves on is again, that lived experience. You can go through this if you like, you can flip side. So obviously we operate a team of two in which they work 20 hours a week here. So just, so our folks are also trained in de-escalation, Narcan training, and then they also have ECPR and are currently receiving their recovery coach training as well for their certification. Just, we try to keep building that so they have as many tools in the toolbox for you guys, So they go out, they come in, they check in, just so you guys know, we come in, we check in with the police department. We obviously work with this lovely team behind me. And we, take a variety of calls, referrals from the community as a whole, from our warm line, and then also any referrals, obviously, that we take from the crisis team, and then also everybody that we encounter that's unhoused on the street. So as of today, we've engaged up to 69 individuals. 54 of those are entered into our HIMSS program. The other individuals are engaged through our diversion program, which runs out of our center, which is located in Newark, called Better Life. So just you kind of know where the difference is there. So out of the 54, 32 are male individuals and 22 would be female. And then as far as the separate data there, that's the family type. So they're individuals, both male and female on top. And then just a point that I wanted to kind of bring up that we are beginning to see more of is single parents, but they are female heads of household. So if I was to add in the diversion number, that would actually double and go to 8. So just again, something to kind of keep in mind as we're trying to find some trends for you guys as well, of who we're helping in the community. You can go to the next slide. So these are out of those 52 individuals. These are the services we've been able to provide so far. So 12 of those would be pure respite referrals, which is another program that we run through our agency, which is a crisis diversion program. It is again, so all of our services are free of charge, including our respite services. So someone could come in there. It's basically a diversion so that they don't go to the hospital. It's made to be a little more comfortable for them, a little more welcoming, a little more freedom. They can come and go as they want, but they're still coming in. They stay up to 10 days and then they work on any component of their wellness. We use the 8 dimensions of wellness. So as long as they identify something on that realm, we obviously work with them, and obviously individuals in crisis. So 16 out of the 54 are individuals that actively use our daytime center called Better Life, again, in Newark. So that's not the amount of times that they have come, that's the amount of individuals that connect to our center on a daily basis now. We obviously do a variety of other services, as you can see: transportation, housing applications, DMV appointments, applications for food stamps, Anchor, Senior Freeze has been a new one that people have been coming for that we've been assisting with, resume assistance, obviously social security card, and also benefits. We've been able to assist folks with applying. As far as our diversion services, so that's something that is, again, a connection to another service that we provide here at CSP. And that is something that's been, again, pretty successful. As of now, we've been able to process 3 individuals. So those were 3 separate individuals that were able to have their housing basically stabilized, right? And so we were able to reverse the eviction process. One of them was actually locked out of her house, and then it was a partnership between us, legal assistance, and another agency where we were able to actually return her back into her unit after she was locked out. So which some of you guys know that's a little challenging. So we're very happy and proud of that one. We tend to partner with a lot of other agencies to make sure that anything we can't provide, we make sure we're able to do it. And that comes in with that legal assistance. So all of these individuals were also connected to a location called, the initial CEDD, and then we work with them very closely in Newark. We have another individual that is about to be processed that's moving in on the 15th into her senior housing. Again, being referred to us after being asked to leave her residence of 37 years, which was obviously very challenging. So, that is another individual that hopefully she'll be creating number 4 as completed assistance. And then we have 5 individuals that we're actively working with for a variety of other assistance where they're looking for units, and then they'll also be seeking security assistance. So that's been 2 of those back rent and security assistance have been things that have come, come as service requests. We have 1 individual that was sent for some GED assistance, and then 3 individuals that even though we've reached out, we were unable to connect with them through the crisis team. They have also tried to reach out, and we'll continue to try to engage with them for as long as they will let us. So just a little bit about some of the diversion services as well, and some of the other individuals that we're connecting with through outreach. These are some of the folks that I was just mentioning to you, right? So we have our 1 individual here who's moving in on the 15th. Which again, that's that individual being asked after 37 years of being a Maplewood resident, she will now be she'll be moving over a town. But again, she'll again be stable. The other individual, again, is a family that was back rent, connected legal assistance, reversing that lockout and allowing her and her child to return to their apartment and then regain their stability in housing. Also, I guess another one we wanted to mention was we do try to field calls from the local community and some other issues that they might have as far as garbage or around the food shed or some other issues that were mentioned to us. So we've been able to hopefully work with the individuals that were more problematic in that area for that neighborhood. And, they've actually notated seeing a visible decrease in folks that were unhoused. And again, those are the folks that when we get those calls, we go directly to them at that time. So our team is active and is able to actually go and meet the individual that they're talking about. And then we do some education about obviously why they shouldn't be sleeping outside and the services that we can provide to help them not have to sleep outside. You can flip the slides. So that is our lovely team up there. That's Jason and Tyshawn with Dina and Martha. And then we obviously have our warm line there at the bottom. And then just some other things to kind of come. We are working on some other things just to be able to pull some additional data, some other things that we're looking to try to make sure we track every single thing basically that we can for you guys. And then also some new comings is for the wintertime months. We obviously have be able to make some connections with through our center. Folks will be able to come and actually get direct placement to any open beds that would be in through the city of Newark. In addition to that, we've also been able to build a partnership with both the county and the city of Newark's I'm sure the county, which will be coming out here and assisting with coordinated entry, right? So then folks will have to go all the way from here, all the way to DFAB, which, can be a challenge. So we'll have someone that actually come out with our outreach team and be able to make that connection. And if not, we'll be able to bring them, because they'll also be on site at our place from the county as well, be able to bring them to Better Life and get them connected that way if for some reason we can't connect here on site. So that is us in a nutshell. And we thank you guys very much. We're very happy to be here. So any other questions?
That's the end of our presentation. One thing that we also wanted to mention with CSP&J, they've been an excellent partner, and they're also looking at getting other staff to look at more housing options so that as we find people.
Housing navigation, so.
Housing navigation. So as we're looking at people who want housing, they're going to have someone on staff who's going to be able to look, and that's their sole jobs, to look for more
Yeah,
housing
just
options.
making a landlord.
Thank you so much. Do I have any questions from my colleagues? Mayor.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much for that. I had to concentrate really hard because you were talking really fast.
I know, there's
But-
like no periods.
But it was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I just wanted to thank you publicly for helping with a resident reached out, having difficulty keeping her housing in Maplewood. And I actually met her when we served jury duty together last spring. And she reached out when she was having this crisis, and you were able to help her. And I really appreciate that. It was a huge relief to her as I forwarded her grateful email to you. So yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
If you have knowledge, would you say that Maplewood's experience is similar to or different than other suburban towns in Essex?
Similar, I think. Than maybe originally would have been suggested. I think that there is a growing unhoused population, unfortunately, and I think that that's what we're seeing wide. We've seen increases across the everything from folks that are living on the street to individuals coming background eviction. I mean, everything has like quadrupled, to be quite honest with you. So I think it's honestly pretty typical. And we hoping that, we can make those connections so that it doesn't obviously grow, but we're happy we're here to be able to make that service connection to hopefully help the unhoused folks that we are finding.
Well, one of the things we have with some of the merchants on Springfield Avenue is they're uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable seeing people up there. Some folks who are homeless are unfortunately using some of the buildings, the vestibules and doors for bathrooms and stuff like that, or they're sleeping there. Do you have any, I don't know if it's a program or anything that you do to talk to those business owners? Not individually, but sort of.
So there are community members, that area I think you're talking about. We actually met with some individuals that were part of the
Mhm.
and were able to help keep them more. I think that individual also had emailed in a letter kind of stating that she's seen a noticeable difference in the area that she lived in, both with garbage and individuals sleeping in vestibules and in the open area. So that's something we definitely educate them. Unfortunately, with the criminalization of homelessness, we really try to educate folks and let them know that, it's better for us to help you try to find somewhere safe than for you to just kind of sleep outside. Because again, there's a lot that has changed over the last year. And besides the increase in individuals seeking services, it's also a lot harder to find them, right? So like, I think if they have us to make that connection, sometimes folks are a little more open to taking them when it's a little easier to access them. That's a big part of what we do, is to try to make everything as low barrier as possible, to make things as accessible as possible. So I think, being able to make that connection for some of them, they've been very open to coming to our center maybe on more of a daily basis rather than just hanging out inside in the vestibule areas, or, unfortunately, when they're having complaints about folks urinating, we definitely have responded to store owners and locations, the park, the porta potties. We've actually hit multiple locations and let them know that we're here. We give them our warm line. They usually have my number as well, and then they could always directly contact the team, or they can contact the team directly. So we feel that that's been actually really helpful when folks do let us know what's going on, so we can try to address and talk to folks so that they're a little more educated, but also understand that folks are usually reaching out because they're concerned about them. They see people laying on the ground. Sometimes people don't know what to do with that. So, we're happy to be able to have that conversation.
So I know, Davenport, you had an email correspondence with Nicole Wallace of the partnership. Are you still having those communications to help get some of this information?
Received any recent communications, but we would encourage any business owner on Springfield Avenue or in other areas to contact the Warm Line if they have any questions about how they're doing. Because once we know the locations where they might be seeing some increase in homelessness, the guys, Tyson and Jason.
Right. I'm wondering if there's anything we can do proactively, because I understand that's a response. But I'm wondering, and I'll talk to Nicole about this, is maybe just have an opportunity for you to be on a Zoom, and anybody who's interested, just get on and have a conversation with you. Not about a specific problem, but just,
What
what do you see and what are you doing? Because you have great information, and I think conveying that to some of them who think we're not doing anything about it would be helpful.
Anxiety.
Okay. It used to be our policy with the police that if when it gets really cold, if we find people sleeping outside, that we try to get them inside. We used to take them to East Orange Hospital for an evaluation. Is that still a practice, or is that not happening?
Typically don't take a bed. We also have the opportunity to reserve a bed if we really were starting to find that many individuals. I've already spoken to some entities that we could provide an ongoing bed. I think that's been some conversation from from the outreach team in general. We find that unfortunately a lot of people do deny the regular shelter, but sometimes folks are a little more open to warming centers. So in the wintertime, we usually have a little more success with connecting folks.
Are we conveying that message to our police?
Yeah.
We ought to be prepared for that.
Yeah,
You know, just even because, you know, the OEM, we used to do the code blue stuff all the time. And, you know, just to have some clarity as to how we're going to deal with folks would be helpful.
That shelter linkage that we'll have through the center. That's going to be a new initiative that we've been able to make, to make that connection. So we'll actually be able to make a direct referral from our location to any open bed. So that along with, we've been trying to talk to Essex in general, but unfortunately they don't do a every night warming center like
Right.
locations. So that's really one of the bigger challenges is the in-between time. But it seems to be that we have a good partnership with some other locations that we're hoping to be able to place them into actual beds if they would like to.
And one other thing is, and my last point is, I've heard from some of the residents that we're seeing some homeless activity in Rotary Park on Jacoby Street, which is the little park. Yeah, so if you can just keep an eye there. Okay.
Yeah, DeHart's been there for a while. This is more from administration. Is there any way we can get that number like prominently featured on our media? The assistance line, because it just came to me when you said but couldn't have folks contact you, that's not just for if you need assistance, but it's for folks who see things. That's the number to call.
Sure. Yeah, and we had recently done a press release on it, and I think that was kind of our first very public engagement with the public over how to contact CSP&J. And so we will schedule more routine follow-ups with that information, and we can find a good place to post it on our website.
Yeah, I think we need to work with our public information officer to do some social media campaigns on this.
Absolutely.
Right, because with holiday season, there's going to be a lot more foot traffic in our
Yeah.
areas and such. And
And a lot of people don't read our press releases, so
yeah, they don't.
as good as they are.
We put out a press release. It was out through our email as well. So
Yeah.
it went, and it's posted on our website, but we can.
Yeah.
And social media?
Yeah.
And social media.
Mhm.
We can, but we'll always do more.
Yeah, we just have to educate people. Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
I just want to thank you, Pam. Nice work.
Yeah.
You didn't put any periods in your presentation. Like, you just kept going. And there were tons of acronyms in there, but well done. Thank you.
That's how we talk in Florida. I loved it. I was in there.
Yeah.
I also want to thank you for that thorough presentation. Will you circulate those slides? Because it's hard for us to see over here, but I want to see what those numbers actually were.
Oh, yes, we'll be posting them first thing tomorrow morning on our health department website. And we will also be putting it out on the weekly e-blasts for the next couple of weeks afterwards. So,
And the
Awesome. You
township
also
committee
sent it to
receive it?
us.
Yeah.
yes. Yep.
Yeah, the township committee should receive it.
You got it. So
Please.
send it to
Yeah.
you now after we leave. I just want to say, to CSP&J, one thing that's really great about them is their network, other partners, those things to happen. It's not just them. They are connected into like an interweb of all these other resources from homeless, from warming centers and shelters in Hudson to legal services in Newark and everything in between. So,
Mental health, usually we can get same-day admission to all of those services.
right. So it's really seeing people as like a whole person, and it's just been a really great experience so far. And if we want to arrange for Zoom, we can definitely work to put something out to the community and see when we can arrange that.
And then just a kind of a tag team question of what other people are asking. So I'm happy that the warm line seems to be successful because I know we've talked a lot about how to best get that out. And I agree that we should have Kristen, our new PIO, just pepper it into her social media posting every once in a while to remind everybody. But as the cold sets in and our residents start seeing maybe people outside and they don't know what to do, is what we should tell them to do is just call the warm line and let you know? Or is there because I know a lot of people, sometimes they see the same people and they might want to approach them or want to help them or pass a note. And I know some people feel uncomfortable with that. So I'm just curious what the proper protocol is that people should do.
So you could always, we always prefer to call, folks, especially if they're not feeling comfortable. It's it's nothing, you know, it's easy for us to go and say hello to somebody. And if they want the service, they, you know, like Ken said, we're kind of like just meeting people where they're at. So we're happy to take any calls at all, you know, and if for some reason there was like a business owner, or someone had, you know, a different, a higher level type of conversation, Candace can always, you know, give out my information.
And
Yeah,
I
well-
also do want to commend, by the way, about the community fridge area, because we did receive an email from one of the business owners who was having some struggles, very positive about the changes that were made. So thank you so much, or the help that was provided and the communication with them themselves. So thank you for that. Any other questions from my colleagues for either of these two wonderful professionals? Then we open it up to public to address our Board of Health. Is there anybody here in the room that has questions for our health officer about the Board of Health specifically? Okay, Mr. Wary, will you help with online?
If any members of the public joining us on Zoom would like to speak in public portion for the Board of Health meeting, please raise your hand now. I see no hands.
Okay, so with that, I move to adjourn until our next scheduled meeting on Tuesday, December 3rd.
Second.
Ms. Croy,
Yes.
Mr. Daffis.
Yes.
Luca.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay, with that, we'll open our public comment time for agenda items only. But before we get to the public, I'd like to offer the county executive's representative to come on up and give us an update that you wanted to do. Is Asmaret? Yeah. Come on out.
We can connect you afterward. I saw that you asked for, and we got you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My name is
evening.
Valentina Richardson Green. I am the Director of Training and Employment at the Essex County One Stop. We're located at 50 South Clinton Street in East Orange. Now, many people may associate 50 South Clinton Street with East Orange as the welfare building. Welfare is there, but we offer an array of different services geared towards educating, empowering, and engaging people towards gainful employment. So the Division of Training and Employment, my division, we have two separate parts. We assist individuals who are receiving public assistance, that's temporary assistance to needy families, or general assistance for single adults, or supplemental nutrition assistance programs. They're required to be in a work-related activity. SNAP is a voluntary thing, but with our economy going the way that it is, any opportunity to get any type of gainful employment, we want to encourage and offer that opportunity to everyone. On the second side, we have our Workforce Initiative Opportunity Act. That's WIOA, if anyone has heard about that. It's where we provide supportive services, career services, training services, and we connect individuals with employers. So we do all of that at 50 South Clinton Street. Welfare is there. In addition to community services, Department of Labor, employment services, we have an array of different partners there. We also have programs for parents to provide childcare services for our customers. But today I wanted to let you know about a wonderful grant that we were awarded. It's our TANF Initiative Opportunity Grant, where we have services that we're going to provide for job readiness. We're going to be assistant TANF recipients with license restoration. We're going to be also assisting with job retention. We got you the job. Now, how do you keep the job? To keep the job, you need the appropriate uniform. You might need recertification. You might need licensing. You just might need some type of transportation support. We have additional funds that we're going to be providing to those TANF recipients. So we have a great deal of monies available. The idea was the state wanted to see us do something new, innovative. We got you the job. How do we help you keep the job? That's what's important. So anybody that you know that's interested or receiving TANF, please send them down to 50 South Clinton Street in East Orange, the 3rd floor. The next wonderful thing we're doing is every Thursday for our WIOA services, we're doing open house and orientation. We have 3 separate parts. We have our youth program, we have our adult program, and we have our dislocated worker program. So dislocated worker could be someone who was recently terminated from a job, no fault of their own. It could even be that homemaker who was home taking care of their spouse or their family member where that's no longer their situation, and now they need assistance and support. For our youth population, we have career assessments, we have virtual job exploration, we do job readiness, we do soft skill preparation, and there's even money incentives. So if that youth ages 17 to 24 decides they haven't gotten their high school diploma or equivalent, we have money for that. They want to go back to school for training, we got money for that too. So it's to encourage the kids to get back into whatever training, whatever opportunity that they never thought was possible for them. We have money for that, and we have the supportive services to help them along their journey. We have the same thing for our adult and our dislocated population. We don't have the money incentives, but we have all the other supportive services that they could possibly want. The next thing I want to talk about is we do positive job recruitments. We pretty much do a couple each month. The next one coming up in November is for the post office. We have mail carriers, automotive technicians, every possible job that you can think of, ranging from $18 an hour to $30 an hour. So if anybody is interested in that, you can come on down to 50 South Clinton Street to our job development unit, and we have those listings available. We also have it where you register with the One Stop and you receive those automated alerts via text or email about any upcoming job events that we're having. So I brought that information here so that you can share it with your customers, and I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you so much. That's a lot.
It is.
It's busy.
Congratulations on the grant.
Yeah.
The extra money is
Well, we want to make sure those services go in through the PIO and through administration to our residents, so,
Could I,
and to get it on our website.
could I also suggest we send it to the high school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
the guidance office sometimes still has contact with recent kids who've dropped out or
Yeah.
might be on the verge of flunking out.
struggle with that
Yeah.
particular population.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That dropped out. Some people think they might be 22,
Mm,
dropped out.
mhm.
It still counts.
Yeah.
It still counts.
Yeah, that's important. Good point.
For the TANF program, do you have data on whether or not we have TANF recipients here in Maplewood, who they are, so that we can target? We'll send this information to everyone, obviously, but to make sure that our TANF recipients in town can definitely have access to it.
We have a breakdown by municipality, but in terms
No, we don't need that, but so that you have it, is what I'm saying, through administration. Yeah.
breakdown of the cases where they have a Maplewood address, and we can send that information out. But what we really want to encourage is getting the customers registered with our One Stop. And there's one more program that I forgot to mention. We have a program where we're going to be issuing out 150 Chromebooks to TANF recipients so that they can participate in training. Because TANF, you have children. You're not always able to come into a building for training. So with this laptop, this Chromebook, you're going to have the opportunity to participate in a variety of our different workshops and trainings, but you're also going to have the ability to update your resume, get your LinkedIn profile put together and sent out. So that is all
Great.
starting December 1st.
Will those Chromebooks be connected wirelessly? Because I'm assuming that, okay. Because I'm assuming that the folks that might need that Chromebook may not have internet access. Okay,
Assisting with that support.
all right, thank you.
That's great. That's a lot. Anybody have any questions?
No questions, but this sounds amazing. So thank you for all you're
Stuff.
doing. And you should connect with our health officer and our outreach team.
Wonderful work. And actually, I connected with our social service partner who is housed in our building, because the work that they're doing is important. And you don't want to, when you finally have someone,
Yeah.
you don't want them to get frustrated as you're trying to refer them or contact somebody else. I can make sure to facilitate that connection at 50 South Clinton so they get the help that they need.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Valentine.
Thanks for coming out and
Thank you.
letting us know. Yeah, appreciate it. And then Michael Gray from Senator Helmy's office. Hi there. Thank you for reaching out and coming
Good
in.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to Dean, Mr. Davis, for putting me on the agenda.
Mayor, Mr. DeLuca. We had a strong working relationship with my former boss, the late Congressman Donald Payne, Jr., and along with Mr. Davis. So currently I work for Senator George Helming. And from the moment Senator Helming got into office, he's used his position to inform residents, constituents about services that we provide. We've been going from different council meetings and different faith-based institutions to just highlight some of their services the office provide. So if you have like concerns about legislation and resolution, you contact the Washington DC office. But there are lots of things that we do that people don't know about, so that's why I want to highlight it. For example, veteran affairs. I know there are lots of veterans that reside in this great township. And sometimes in terms of death, sometimes a veteran passed away and there's a delay in terms of their veteran benefits. Our office can help to expedite those processes. And sometimes maybe some veteran might have issues in terms of their educational services. And they have some red tips. We can also help with those issues because we have congressional liaison. There's a very important military academy that people don't know about. It's equivalent to like an Ivy League institution, West Point, the Merchant Academy, the Air Force. Currently, Senator Helming is reviewing like 300 applications to help young men to get into one of those services, and those services provide like jobs for today and jobs for the future. So please, if you know of constituents that are in high school or college, please recommend them. And I'd like to go into immigration. Immigration, there are lots of services that we provide in terms of family-based petition. Let's say, for example, husband filing for wife, wife filing for a husband, or children filing for parent. Maybe you might have someone that want to get like a student visa. Those are services that we can help to get. Sometimes people or relative passed away in the United States, preferably in Maplewood, and they want to like attend funeral services. And sometimes it's kind of hard, and we can also intervene in terms of those kind of services. You might want to travel and your passport is missing. And that is very much important. We can plan, we can help and contact the passport services for like a same day or passport appointment for you to get your passport. Sometimes constituents work hard and they have some issue with the Internal Revenue Services. Sometimes you owe Internal Revenue Services and they want to garnish your check or they have some issues. We have a relationship with the liaison, and we can come back to the Internal Revenue Office to work along with you. Or maybe sometimes you work hard and you fall short of your mortgage payment. Sometimes the bank don't want to communicate with you anymore. We all have a congressional liaison for the HUD office that we can try to advocate on your behalf. You have senior citizens that might have issue with disability or Medicare. Those are issues that we can help with also. In addition, Maplewood might be trying to apply for a federal grant. Don't do it by yourself. Reach out to Senator Helming office and he can provide a letter of support, and that can help your application in many ways. Or maybe your fire department is applying for like a fire grant. It's something that we can do a little support. Senator Helming can do a little support. In addition, exposing young people and even like elderly people to visit the White House is something that we can help to like organize a White House trip for a constituent, or a trip to visit the Capitol Hill, or maybe the African American Museum. Those are all options that are available. And small businesses are all here, and sometimes they want to gain access to capital. We can contact the Small Business Administration to help with some of those issues. All small businesses trying to do like international trade and don't have access, we can connect you to the Department of Commerce that can help your institutions. So I just want to make it, just want to give you the numbers to call the Washington DC office. Number is 202 224 4744, 202-224-4744. The Jersey City office is our main office in New Jersey. The number is 973-645-3030, 973-645-3030. We have another office in South Jersey. The Barrington office is our 856-757-5353, 856-757-5353. To get all the information, you can go to Helmy, HELMY.senate.gov, Helmy.senate.gov. Thank you for listening, and I hope that our office was able to provide some services that your constituent can, your citizen and residents can benefit from, and that is the goal of Senator Helmy, to ensure that he brings the government to the people. So I'm
Thank you.
hoping for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Does anyone have any questions?
I was wondering, you said you've gone to the faith-based organizations and stuff, because we have a couple of veterans groups that meet at the senior center, and the VA benefits and the questions and stuff around like how to apply for things. I'm gonna talk with you offline
Yes,
to connect
please,
you
please.
with
So-
that, those groups.
Yeah, so I'm going to be here for the entire meeting, and yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak at public for agenda items only? Mr. Wary, anyone online?
If any member of the public joining on Zoom would like to speak in public portion on agenda items only, please raise your hand now. I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, great. Then we'll move on to our introduction of ordinances. Ms. Fritzen.
Yes, Mayor. Number 8, we have 5, introduction of new ordinance, bond ordinance 3132-24, an ordinance amending section 3E8 of bond ordinance number 3118-24 of the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, finally adopted May 7, 2024, in order to amend the description of the project. This ordinance will allow previous approved funds to be used for a high-efficiency gas-powered furnace at the greenhouse.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on November 18th.
I second it.
Mayor, can I make a comment on this?
Sure.
Initially, we had planned to install a heat pump
Right.
at the greenhouse, and we allocated money for that in our capital budget. And when we went out to bid, the prices came in way beyond our capacity to fund it. And so we looked at some other alternatives, and right now we're heating with oil. Then we looked at whether we could use biofuels, but there's some structural issues there that we'd have to make improvements. So we've talked about what else we could do, and so we came up with the high efficiency gas powered furnace. So that's what we're doing here, we're
Yeah.
changing it.
Thank you for that clarification. We've been talking about it so long at Engineering Public Works. So, Ms. Fritzen, next ordinance.
Right,
Did you, sorry, yeah, roll call.
I'm about to. Ms. Cripe,
Yes.
Daffis.
Yes.
Luca.
Yes.
Zangle.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. Next.
Also on introduction, Mayor, bond ordinance 3133-24. Bond ordinance for providing a supplemental appropriation of $5 million for the construction, equipping, and furnishing of a new library in and by the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $5 million in bonds or notes of the township to finance the cost thereof. This ordinance provides additional necessary funding to complete the library project.
Thank you. Mr. DeLuca, would you like to give some more information on this?
Sure. We need to do this because we're at the point now where we spent all the funds that we have, because the rest of the money that comes in is on a reimbursement basis. And that's the money from the library bond. And it's also hopefully our FEMA payment. So we have to put the money out, and then we have to show them that we've spent it, get all the reviews and all that, and then they'll reimburse us. So that's what this is about. There's also some additional costs related to the environmental cleanups that we did not expect. So We're, this would allow us to make sure that we can continue to pay the bills and move forward with getting the reimbursements.
Thank you. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on November 18th.
I second it.
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
DeLuca.
Yes.
Ms. Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. Next ordinance, please.
Yes, Mayor, it's 8C. Bond ordinance 3134-24. Bond ordinance providing a supplemental appropriation of $700,000 for improvements to Springfield Avenue, Phase 2, in and by the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $700,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance the cost thereof. This ordinance provides additional necessary funding to award Springfield Avenue Phase 1 and Phase 2 improvements.
Thank you. I move the passage of this ordinance on its first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and the hearing to be held on November 18th.
I second it.
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
Daffis,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes. Next ordinance?
Yes, Mayor, it's 8D. Ordinance number 3135-24. Ordinance amending chapter 257 of the Township Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic to allow street parking on a portion of Inwood Place. This ordinance will remove the current no parking zone on the south side of Inwood Place between Maplewood Avenue and Woodland Road.
May I get a motion?
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on Monday, November 18th, 2024.
I'll second.
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
Daffis.
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes. And the last one, please.
Yes, Mayor, it's ordinance number 3136-24. It's an ordinance to create a new Article 4 under Chapter 93 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Control of Plastic Dust and Contaminants During Construction. This ordinance will supplement Chapter 93, Building Construction of the Township Code, with a new article to describe the requirements for controlling plastic and dust contaminants during construction and preventing them from entering the watershed.
May I get a motion, Mr. Daffis?
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on November 18th, 2024.
I'll second.
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. We'll move on now to reports from administrative reports. Unless anyone has any questions on the monthly budget report.
I do.
Okay.
When I looked at it, I was looking at the pool, the revenue and the expenses on the pool. And it looks like, at least as of this report, that we have more money in a balance than we put in this year. I think we put in around 275,000. It looked like we had 300,000 plus as a balance. And then it also looked like there was more membership money that came in. So can we get a report from someone that tells us what the growth was, if there was, in membership from 2023 to 2024? If this is really a $300,000 net, which is terrific because the expenses were below and the income was either on par or maybe a little above, then how would that impact any decision of putting more dollars in for next year? Because I would assume we would be able to roll this over into next year. So what I want is, before we get stuck into the budget process, that we have a very clear understanding of how the pool did and, what we want to accomplish. Because we're going from 10%, we reduced it 10%, we're going to reduce it another 10% this year. That's our plan. So
And the pool advisory committee is still waiting for the final numbers because when they met with the CFO, we hadn't had August revenue yet. And so they are also waiting for that information, I believe, to do their report to come to the township committee, which should include some of how membership did grow and we did good.
We did very well on membership, yes, and we can provide those numbers to you. That on the revenue side, that's relatively straightforward. On the expenses side, there are still some expenses coming in, and so they're not final numbers, but we can give them to you to prepare for the budget. To your comment about, using some of this money next year, yes, we can. It's a pool utility, so whatever we have extra, it goes into fund balance and can be appropriated as revenue in next year's pool budget. There was a large appropriation last year from American Rescue Plan money, and so that's obviously going to fall off. And when we looked at the numbers with the CFO and the pool advisory committee, we did very well this year, but the hope is still to break even, right? And so that's probably where we're going to be at the end of the operations, but we'll provide more detailed accounting.
Will the information that we talked about in Health and Community Services also be brought up as far as the parking lot and the maintenance? Would that be added as a portion of that?
That's a question for, I think, in the budget process as to where we realize revenue. So the question was, should the revenue received from New Jersey Transit and from the Maplewood Village Apartments be realized as revenue to the pool and not to the township, so that it's dedicated towards pool operations? That would be a question for the township committee in terms of where we realize that revenue in next year's budget.
Okay.
I think just if we're going to talk about doing that, we have to put some expenses on that side too, because we do send our street sweeper in there and we do make pothole repairs and all that. So
yeah,
if we're going to put more revenue in, we've got to pick up more costs.
Yeah.
I think the question was, the pool is already sustaining
paying
some costs with Mr. Waltz doing the landscaping, and there is costs related to the pool. So it was evening it up so that the revenue is. So if there are other additional costs that DPW does, that should be itemized so we know what it is and see, not itemized, but so we know, have an idea. I agree. If the revenue is going to be there, then the
Use it.
expenses should be there, and vice versa. If the revenue is not going to be there, then the expense should be on the township side and not on the pool side.
Okay. Mr. Wary, would you like to give your report?
Thank you, Mayor. So to continue the conversation about 2025 budget, I'd like to get the township's input on how they'd like to see budget workshops for next year. Last year, we did 3 budget workshops on a Wednesday, a Tuesday. They were a total of 9 hours. We held them at night. I know, last year we had a conversation about, do we want to hold them during the week or on the weekends? And we, it was a process of finding dates that worked for everybody. So I'm hoping we can start early this year, get input from the township committee about when you'd like to see those workshops held, weeknight versus weekend day, and what availability is for next year when you'd like to hold them. Ideally, we would discuss department budgets and subcommittee starting in December and January, and then we would present to the full township committee beginning in mid-February. Last year, the first one we had was January 31st. Then we had about a month until the second one, and then 2 weeks until the third. It'd be nice to have those for us at least, just start a little later, but finish either right at the same time in mid to early March or just a little bit sooner.
You want to start later, like the first budget workshop be in February? Is that what you're saying? Or
Well, last year was January 31st, and then we had waited a whole month until the second one. So it'd be nice if we
put them
easier
closer
for us to
together?
keep that momentum and
Okay.
yeah, because some of the conversations will, go from one into the next. And so to have those generally closer together, it's important for us in terms of on-time budget adoption
Yes.
to finish those conversations in early March.
Okay.
And
So
so but we could start later depending on how everybody's schedule works out.
Previous to last year, we had them on Saturdays. Ms. Fritzen, there were consecutive Saturdays or there was a week between?
The year prior.
Yeah.
Sorry?
A month almost.
There was time in between.
Yeah, so that must be the year prior, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the issues that happened last year was we couldn't
You're
find
right.
a Saturday that we were all available. We had scheduling issues, so I think maybe if you want to do a doodle or figure out when people are available, we can figure out if it's weekend or weeknight.
Sure. If that's how you'd like to respond, yeah.
And last year also there was 5 like Mondays or something.
Correct.
So we used that extra week in January because it had a 5th.
Hmm.
So there were extra
Yeah,
meetings.
there are there's 4 weeks in January and 4 weeks in February this year. So that we lost 3 days that we had last year.
Nice.
Last year was a
Oh,
leap
it's-
year too.
There's
Yeah,
like-
I can send around a link for, everything between, maybe one is preference on weekday versus weekend, but then, listing out availability for all of February and March to hold these workshops. But I bring it up now so at least you can give it some thought before I circulate that poll. All right.
Okay.
Great.
Is that all you have?
That's my whole report, Mayor. Thank you.
Don't just stop talking.
Well, I usually highlight hires, actually, so I have one more. We are hiring a program supervisor in the Department of Community Services. So welcome to Miss Madison DeGiorgio.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Weary? Okay, we'll move on to our township attorney, Ms. Cordedio.
Mayor, just a brief report this evening. You may have seen reports in the news that the Star Ledger will be ceasing circulation in February of 2025. This has also prompted the cessation of, I'm sorry, not ceasing publication, ceasing printing and going to an only online publication, which unfortunately for the purposes of the Open Public Meetings Act does not actually qualify as a newspaper or
Right.
requirements. That also prompted 5 other locals in New Jersey to stop either printing at all in the case of the Jersey Journal or to convert to only a digital issue because they used the Star Ledger's printing press. Kind of had this ripple effect. The League of Municipalities is proposing legislation, which, given the plethora of reorganizations coming up in January in very short order, is hoping to seek amendments to state statute to allow digital editions to be considered newspapers for these purposes. We also have our local weekly, but, we rely on the Star Ledger both for notices which must be published in 2 newspapers and also for notices that we need published more quickly, and that we can't have that week notice. So, hopefully the state responds quickly on that one. It is an issue that, at least in some locations in the state, if those amendments are not made, will really reach a crisis point because there are not other applications.
Plus, the local one doesn't have reach really outside or statewide. Nothing prohibits us from advertising in the online ones. Anyway, it just doesn't fulfill this.
Sure, we can absolutely do additional notice. One of the unfortunate events in the last few years, there had been a push to allow municipalities to publish just on their own websites. It would save obviously a lot of municipal dollars, but really there has been an increasing problem with being able to have special meetings or to schedule meetings that require advance notice because newspapers are taking longer and longer and longer to publish them. So it's not even the question of whether the town may be willing to pay the fee. It's a question of at some point, the newspaper's publication schedule is now dictating when a municipality can have a meeting.
Yeah.
The Press Association, as you may imagine, had a pretty strong negative response to that legislation because governmental publications were one of the only things keeping some of these afloat. But of course now, here we are. So there was original scuttlebutt that, we may see a resurgence of that legislation authorizing, pure website publication. But the remaining newspapers in the state, I think, are even more concerned about their tenuous foothold given these recent events. So that's why this sort of middle course was charted.
It's not only for open public meetings, it's also for advertising bids and things like that, right? So,
Sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that certainly can't just be local. And you can't expect firms to be searching every municipality. There's 565 of them website, so, okay.
I'm unupdated.
Just to remind us that every January, we do designate Tap Into and Village Green as secondary
Right,
notices. But we know there's,
record.
it's not allowed because of, or it can't be in place of the written ones.
It is surprising to me because like the newspaper business has been dying a slow death for a long time. And, I've worked with journalists and it's really sad, but it surprises me that government hasn't really caught up with that there's still this requirement. No, that's
Well,
still
it
a
was-
requirement that we have to do in
Yeah,
print.
it was the
right?
Star Ledger Protection Bill.
Mhm.
And that's what happened. It was
Yeah.
when they proposed it, the Star Ledger fought it along with the Asbury Park Press and a couple others, and they won the day because they said, "Look, if you stop doing it, we're going to go out of business."
But now they are.
They are.
There was even.
Well, they're doing it in a different form.
Well, right, it's online only.
Businesses.
It doesn't qualify.
There was a compromise that, was that, allow us to, the municipality will still pay the fee to publish, post it on your website and get it in the printed edition whenever you can. And we'll still, help keep the fourth estate afloat. But I think there was concern that once we moved to a website being okay, it would be too short a hop to the municipal
Oh, absolutely.
their website instead of the newspapers.
yeah.
I'll
So-
keep you posted. There's
Yeah.
also discussion of if action doesn't occur by the end of the year, whether one or more parties may seek some sort of declaratory judgment, finding that in absence of another option, that, the statute will be construed as allowing these things to count, because at some point municipalities need to be able to, and other government entities need to be able to comply.
Right. Okay, anything else, Jen? Any questions for Ms. Credidio? Okey doke. So we'll move to our township clerk. How was the election, Ms. Fritzen?
So, I guess in order of, events, we had a very successful volunteer appreciation dinner. It seems like it was so long ago.
Yes.
On October 21st, since our last meeting, well attended, close to 150 volunteers. That was a high number. And I appreciate all of you, your unanimous participation helping. And, as well as staff and, it was just a great night. And you know what? The volunteers really appreciate it. And they, really thank you for offering this that so many other places and towns just do. Okay, so yesterday, election day. First, I want to congratulate Mayor Adams and also Ms. Herman on your victories. And I had given everybody the printout by districts, so you have the numbers. Very high turnout, as you could well expect. And we had 13,472 voters in Maplewood. And I'm happy and proud to say that we had no problems. We had no problems in Maplewood. And that's just like a great thing when you can have a presidential election with so many people voting and so many things that could go wrong, that it was just from a standpoint of administration, phenomenal. And I have to say, my staff, Amari's here, my deputy, Ed, you're only as good as the people around you. And I truly believe that. And they are real warriors for our department on a day like yesterday.
Yep.
Thank you, Amari. You're here.
Eyewitness.
And also the nighttime staff for the tallies and our super election poll worker, Michelle Bobro. She's just like everywhere I need her. And tabulations, just putting everything together for pickup last night that has to go back down to Newark. It's just seamless.
Great.
And I'm happy. And when I'm happy, right.
Well, if you're happy, we're all.
We love you happy.
And then again, just to highlight, we have Veterans Day on Monday, right here in this room. And it's a great event. It's our 21st annual Veterans Day. And it'll be Monday, November 11th at 11 a.m. sharp. And we anticipate a good turnout. And please do, if you can, join us. Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Ms. Fritzen? No. All right, we'll move to elected official reports. Committee Member Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. I first wanted to just acknowledge the election and offer congratulations to Miss Malia Herman, to Mayor Adams, and also, I know a lot of people have been in kind of like a daze today. I know I have. I work at a local bakery, and the energy was just different. And I saw so many people from Maplewood and South Orange just feeling emotions. You can see the emotions on their face, and it's been hard to find words to talk about this event, but I saw a quote that my friend Alex posted, and I just wanted to read it. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. And it's by Howard Zinn. And I just want to reiterate what we've talked about over the past year, especially that we are one community and that we should be showing kindness to each other. We don't always agree on different issues. We had a competitive Board of Ed election. There's a lot of people feeling a lot of feelings, which then brings out other emotions, whether it's aggravation or violence or whatnot. And we just need to come together as a community and hold each other and support each other. And as Mayor Adams said so eloquently, it's okay to grieve and it's okay to feel, whether that's happiness or sadness or confusion or you're scared. A lot of people are scared. So I just want to remind everybody that we are a community here in Maplewood and South Orange, and we should just all lean on each other in this time. As for my report, I also find so much inspiration from our youth. The Youth Advisory Committee met a few weeks ago. We have 2 members. Next meeting, we'll hopefully be appointing a 3rd, and it's growing. And they have such great ideas. Some of the topics we've been talking about is transportation, as well as other ideas they have in order to engage teenagers and our youth into our municipalities, events and services. So I'm really excited to keep moving forward on that. And at our communications committee, we welcomed Kristen Downey, our new public information officer. We're so excited to have her part-time. She has been posting regularly on our social media, and I just wanted to mention what that handle is so you can follow us. It's at Maplewood TWP for Township. So you can follow on social media. And the Environmental Advisory Committee had also made a suggestion that we start offering kind of sustainable tips. And so we talked about it at our meeting yesterday, and you're going to start seeing some, I forgot what we called, do you remember what we called it, Mr. Daffis?
Helpful hints.
Helpful hints that will
Twice a month.
populating for things to do to take care of your house or just how to report concerns or whatnot around town. So keep an eye out for that. And that is my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Engel? Nope. Okay, we'll move on to Committee Member DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to offer my congratulations to you, Mayor Adams, and Township Committee Woman-elect Malia Herman. How's that title, huh? New title. So congratulations. We received today a draft stormwater utility ordinance and from our consultants. And what I would do is put it on for discussion at the next meeting. And if we're okay, then we can introduce it and give final consideration in our meetings in December. And we'll be ready to go in January.
You're going to circulate that to everyone?
Yep, I'll circulate. Once we go over, we'll send that out before the meeting. And then this is the time of the year when we do our demographic study for our boards and committees. So I'll send out questions to everybody to make sure we're okay with them. And then we'll start that process.
Feels like you just did that.
That's it.
Okay, any questions for Mr. DeLuca?
I do have one. I just, thank you, Mr. DeLuca. I don't remember where we landed up. We could talk about this when we talk about it next time. But one of the things that came up in our communications committee and in finance committee as well recently was how the billing would be implemented for the stormwater utility. Would it be in one bill? It doesn't seem that that's possible. Which bill will it be? And, you know, communicating and getting ahead of that. We can discuss that at the next township committee meeting when it's formally on for discussion. But I just want to let you know that that was something that we were all sort of wondering about and speaking with administration and the finance office about.
So I don't know if they told you.
They did not?
We did talk about it. We did talk about it as an add-on to the sewer bill.
Sewer bill.
But in finance, our CFO made it seem like that's not actually a possibility.
Right.
So that's where some confusion started happening because we all took away that
That
it would be on that.
Sorry, I
warrant.
opened the can here, but
Conversation is happening in a few places. It started in engineering and public works. I think that as the CFO continues to look into it, he's developing some ideas. I know him and I need to get together to finalize what we propose to the township committee. And I will ensure that that is done by the middle of next week.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the way we talked about it is
Right.
we can't have multiple bills going out.
Yeah.
right, that was our concern.
Yeah.
Right.
It then becomes another thing that people don't pay. And I mean, there's got to be a way to figure it out. And we have the name of somebody who worked with New Brunswick, who, if we can't figure it out, we can bring that person in to help guide whoever we have to guide to get it done correctly.
Yeah.
That's our.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, congratulations on your reelection as you're about to be sworn in January for your fourth term
I know.
on the Maplewood Township Committee. Lucky you. And congratulations to our incoming committee member, Malia Herman. Well done, Ms. Herman. You did really well in getting the vote out for yourself and for Democrats up and down the ballot. I will say a couple things about the election last night. I want to thank our awesome clerk, Liz Fritzen, for all her hard work. And I know it's a team effort. And thank you to our deputy clerk and all the volunteers and the paid poll workers and everybody involved in the free and fair election process that we saw here in Maplewood and throughout the nation last night. Two reports from Maplewood Village, updates rather. The construction that was happening in the Village Center lot is nearly complete. There's some odds and ends that need to be sort of put together. People have reached out. They've noticed that there's a temporary handrail on the pathway along the NJ Transit, tracks there. And that is temporary, folks. We have ordered a real one that's going to be appropriate. But it's on back order. And so we had to, for safety reasons, put in something temporary and we will make that adjustment. But otherwise, I think everyone can agree that it looks beautiful back there, right? It's so much better than it was. And the trash is now consolidated and that project is going well. I do have some bad news from the Maplewood Village Alliance. We did find out from DCA that our grant application for Main Street designation was denied. So we will try again. We are working to meet with DCA to get some feedback. They do that. And to help us learn how we can strengthen our position going forward. We do remember that in our interview and discussions with them, they had concerns about our budget being appropriate, and they had some other concerns about better wayfinding and things that they had recommended to us several years back in 2018 that we have yet to implement. So more on that.
That was just the designation for Main Street, not a grant.
Yes, that's what I meant. The application for the designation. Yes, yes. I've gotten very little sleep, so I'm not at my best this evening. And regarding the election, we saw democracy at work last night. And we accept the results of the election. We're not happy with them, and some of us are not happy with them. And many of us are experiencing our deep, profound despair. and that's okay. And many folks in our community right here in Maplewood and in adjoining South Orange, especially those who identify as members of vulnerable communities, they are particularly scared right now, myself included. Yes, I sit up here with a lot of privilege, but you know, they're talking about getting rid of marriage equality and rolling back LGBTQ rights. They're talking about making sure that trans youth do not receive gender affirming care. So a lot of folks are scared, and it's going to be a scary 4 years. It's going to be disruptive. It's going to be unpredictable. But I invite everyone certainly to take some time to take care, but to not be broken or drown in their despair. Because as Vice President Harris said earlier today in her concession speech, it was worth the fight, and the fight is not over. The fight for justice, for equity, for opportunity carries on. And as elected leaders in this town, what we can do during that 4 years, despite the disruption in Washington, is to ensure that our beautiful little bubble here, our sanctuary of progress and equity and opportunity, is protected. And we will fight hard to protect that and to continue advancing progress here in Maplewood and South Orange. And we will do so with our elected leaders down in Trenton, with our Attorney General. And we want people, after they get over feeling bad, feeling hard, and being in despair, to join the fight, because right around the corner, we have a gubernatorial election, and we're going to need all hands on deck. I'm really grateful, I have to say this, for so many people who engaged during the election, making calls and getting on buses and going to foreign places and knocking on strangers' doors to get out the vote. It was absolutely tremendous. And for those of you who did not engage, because our turnout wasn't that great, not for presidential and not for Maplewood. We're known for our civic engagement. We've broken records. We've been written about for breaking records. This time, not so much. So to those folks, I say that we have to regain your trust. We will work to listen, to collaborate, so that we can regain your trust, because we need you to engage also. We need everyone. So we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Daffy?
I do want to go back to, I'm sorry, but I know, I want to go back to the parking lot.
Yes.
So remember, that whole idea started with the visioning session.
Come again?
The visioning, the village visioning.
Yes, yes, yes.
So there were other recommendations
Yeah.
about cleaning up the back of those buildings, because their whole point was that that is the sort of a gateway as people come into the village or pass on the train. So I hope some of those other suggestions beyond just the parking lot will be addressed.
100%. It's on the agenda. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I just we were concerned about construction interfering with the holiday retail season. So I just want to thank our staff and for making that happen, so that it's like not even, we're about to kick off the holiday retail season, but I
Yes.
feel like the timing worked out well. So thank you.
Yes. Dickens Village is already installed, which is tremendous. Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, they were doing it today.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Craig.
Thank you. Yeah, as Committeeman Daffis was speaking, everything, Audre Lorde quote came to me, and taking a page off of Deb's book. You don't have to be me in order for us to fight alongside each other. I don't have to be you to recognize that our wars are the same. The intersectionality piece of our world is going to has come to a very, very large screaming announcement. We got to do better together, folks. We don't have a choice. We've got to do better.
But on that note, congratulations to our fourth term holding mayor, Nancy Adams, and to our new member of the Township Committee, Malia Herman. I look forward to seeing what you ladies produce for the township, how you work for us, and Godspeed on your journey, you know. It's gonna be tough, but you're up for it. You're the ladies for the job. Quick reports, couple of different areas to go into. Dean already grabbed it. Dickens Village is up and ready to go. So if you haven't been down to Maplewood Village, take a look at it. It's going to be cool because we are entering the holiday season. And because of that, the Public Safety Committee, and particularly the Police Department, sent out a notice that probably folks got as a flyer in today's weekly update in regards to safety. Walking around town now that the lights are getting, well, the sun's going down earlier, please continue to drive and walk with your, with other people and in yourself in mind. So leave early, slow down, be patient, stay to the lighted areas, and enjoy the holidays. As far as package stuff goes, if you have the ability to have packages that are super important sent to you at your jobs, not a bad option to make sure that's there. However, if you do have packages delivered at home, have them delivered to where you have your Ring camera or wherever your security cameras are so that they are protected in somewhat. Auto theft. Yeah, it's winter in the Northeast. It's kind of what happens when the sun goes down early and it gets cold. You don't need to leave your car running all the time. So please turn it off, lock it, take your key fob with you into the grocery store, get your coffee and come back. You will not die.
You might lose your car.
But if you do the other things and leave it running, you will probably leave your car. And if you thought you were cold before, you're going to be even colder standing out there waiting for the police to come to make the report. So lock your cars, take your keys with you. Leaf pickup has begun, actually began on the 4th. And recommendation from folks that I know that are in the community that do a lot of driving, particularly our delivery guys that run into, please encourage your landscapers or your sons and daughters, whoever's outside doing your leaf collection, to make sure your piles are pushed as close to the curb as possible so they're not obstructing the flow of traffic or in the road, making it slick.
Mulch.
Yeah, basically creating mulch and it ends up in the
No,
gutters.
no, I meant mulch over.
Oh, or mulch it and leave it in your yard, even better. I don't even bother mine. I just,
Yeah,
that
I
last
know.
mowing, that's
Leave the
it.
leaves.
I don't even bother with it anymore. Recreation will be closing the fields as of November 17th. And we ask because additional signage has been created and will be posted that our general population, please use our parks, but follow the signage directions. The fields need to rest. Leave the turf blankets down, limit the play on the surfaces that are around the perimeter. That includes the pets and the people. Still use the park, but remember, it's not just about you. Individuals, that's got to go. The police department is also conducting, with the assistance of the health department, a coat, hat, and scarf drive. They're looking for new, not used, hats, gloves, and scarves for our unhoused and our financially strapped population. So you can drop it off by the PD on Springfield Avenue, or you can bring it here to Town Hall. It runs from the 1st until December the 9th. And you can reach out to Officer Lewin at the PD if you have any questions. Soma Follies is coming up on November the 21st at 7:30. It's a great show. If you haven't had a chance to see your neighbors juggle or play good ukulele or whatever it is, come on out and maybe be inspired to apply and audition for next year's Follies, which would be great. As far as safety goes, yes, again, it's the fall and this is the time when we love to be outside making our s'mores and having our sticks and things burned out of the way so we don't have to rake them in there. But we are currently in a burn ban due to the drought. And that includes those fire pits. So please, please, it sucks that you don't get to use them, but don't. It's not worth the risk. Finally, in allegiance, what seems like most everybody here has said, there's a lot of stress going on right now in this time period. I had an opportunity to spend some time talking with a trans man friend of mine who had a really, really rough time in making the decision as to whether or not they were even going to go vote because they didn't want to go through the process because they live in a very conservative area of the country of being outed again and have to go through that process of being shamed and othered and stuff. So if you're feeling the feels, as you should, definitely be mindful of yourself. Take care of your bodies, and take care of your spirits, take care of your minds, and make the right call. Miss Davenport posted the signs up, and they're hanging on the fences of all of our major municipal buildings and all of our parks of the different numbers of assistance that you can get 24 hours a day. There are people that want to hear from you. There are people that will talk to you. And together we will get beyond this. I'll just close my report out with a quote from my trans man friend, S. Bear Bergman, who's an author, and he says, "The movement for justice needs every skill and ability, including yours. For everyone making a stirring speech, there's somebody who remembered to change the megaphone batteries." So volunteer. If you want to see something change, you've got to make the change happen. And that's my report, Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for Deputy Mayor Craig?
No, but I like that. There's someone changing the megaphone batteries.
So true.
All right. For my report, I just want to give an update to the community on New Jersey Transit. Congresswoman Cheryl hosted a listening session with Essex, with mayors along the Morris Essex line and the Midtown Direct line a few weeks back. And then she subsequently met with New Jersey Transit and with Amtrak. And they will be meeting again, but what came out of that meeting basically is that they are going to be creating and funding a regular maintenance schedule for both Amtrak and New Jersey Transit to try to be proactive and not have things break. What a concept. So they will be doing that and more. She's going to be keeping her conversations with both CEOs from both companies going so that the ball doesn't get dropped, and try to keep their feet to the fire a little bit. There are a couple changes to the schedule coming up, and I just forwarded an email to administration to please put these on our website with a link to New Jersey Transit website. Changing on November 10th, specifically for Maplewood, the changes to New York Penn are the current 7:01 a.m. express train will be 4 minutes earlier at 6:57 and also arrive 4 minutes earlier at 7:28. The 7:01 was train 6612 and the 6:57 train will be train number 6406. And then there is a new Midtown Direct stop at 6:42 a.m. Train 6610 arriving at Penn Station, New York at 7:19 a.m. Also, there will be this winter some maintenance. Hoboken Station will be going through maintenance repairs. And so there may be some closure at the station itself, forcing commuters to get to Hoboken a different way or to just go into New York directly on Midtown Direct. So this is all around planned work on adjacent infrastructure, the tunnels that connect Penn to New Jersey Transit Storage Yard in Queens, which is why New Jersey Transit is adjusting the operations to accommodate that work. It's a project by Amtrak to rehab existing tunnels east of Penn Station. And this was from saltwater damage from Hurricane Sandy.
Oh,
Getting right on it. Anyway, that's just a brief update. So I ask that our information officer please make sure that to keep up with New Jersey Transit schedule and make sure that's updated on our website all the time. So as these changes change back and forth.
Can I ask a question about that? So, I know you said, so this will be an engineering committee meeting, but I think that meets after the schedule changes. Are the jitney schedules going to be changing?
We'll
That's
look
what
at
we'll be
those.
talking. We'll be
If
talking
they
about it.
do, we'll,
I know, but I think the change starts before the next engineering meeting.
Possibly. So
we'll look at them.
they'll
If
look
they
at
need to
it.
be changed, we'll change them. And that'll all be publicized.
And then my second question is with the Hoboken construction, when there's problems with New Jersey Transit, when we can't get to Penn, they get sent to Hoboken. So I guess what's going to be the backup contingency that New Jersey Transit has for our commuters if they can't get to Penn and they can't go to Hoboken?
I don't know the answer to that. So I
So is
can
that
reach out
something we
and find out.
talk to?
No, I'll reach back out to New Jersey Transit and find out if there's a plan at all.
But that, tell them there should be backup plans.
Yeah. Unless they're planning on changing their fees, the mandatory fees, they can make that change.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. Now I forgot where my papers are. Okay, this past weekend, we had a South Essex Fire Department open house where there were a lot of stuff for kids and a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers, and it was a fun afternoon on a beautiful day. So I thank Chief Alvarez and his whole department for putting that together and entertaining. There was even an emergency call during the time I was there, so they're still working. And then we have, oops, oh yeah. So there is a gathering being organized by some clergy and one of our residents to have some time to meet and gather. There won't be speeches and things like that, but it's just to hold space for people who are upset, particularly as Mr. Deff has said, our youth and people of different gender affirming type things that are transgender or gay or whatever it is. They're there to hold space for anyone nervous about the upcoming administration. And or if, like I am, you're nervous about women's health and nationwide abortion ban, which is not just abortion, it's abortion healthcare. So it's every time a woman goes to the doctor and needs some care and that being withheld. And as we've seen this past couple of weeks in Texas with young women dying because they're not getting the care they deserve, this may be coming up. So to my comments at the beginning of the meeting, make sure you rest up, you feel, and you get better because you're going to need to start fighting for that again. Also of note is the Affordable Care Act is, at risk. So that means anybody, see, a lot of people aren't as old as I am, but I remember when you couldn't get insurance for health insurance with a pre-existing condition. And I would guess that most people have pre-existing conditions and they can be as minor as heart palpitations. So, and insurance companies were able to deny coverage for healthcare. So just, these are things to pay attention to. And if you need or want some solidarity to gather across the street in Memorial Park tomorrow at 4:30 PM, just to, if you want to feel better with some of our fellow residents.
And it's open to all.
Yes, open to everyone.
Everyone is
Yes, I
welcome.
didn't mean to imply it wasn't, but everybody is nervous about all those things I mentioned. So,
Right.
yeah, so if anyone doesn't have any more questions of me, that's my report. Thank you. We'll move to discussion items. Mr. Wary.
Thank you, Mayor. The state puts out every year a best practices checklist. Every municipality's score on the checklist is tied to how much of their state aid they receive in funding for the following year. There are 69 questions in the best practices. They are divided into unscored, best practices, and core competency questions. The township to receive our full amount of state aid must get greater than 35 points, and we scored 43 points. So the finance officer has sent you a memo on this, and included with the agenda is the full answers to the best practices checklist. And then on the consent agenda, you have a resolution 355-24, which certifies that this was discussed at the meeting and the township had an opportunity to review and discuss this.
Could you say the last sentence again? Because I kind of.
Yeah, there's a resolution on consent agenda.
Right.
355-24, which says that the township committee had opportunity to review and discuss the best practices checklist at a regularly scheduled meeting.
So now.
That's right.
That's what we need to do. Okay. So does anyone want to discuss the best practices checklist?
I read it. It looks good.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's our discussion. Check.
I love
And
how
get our money.
gone we are. All the children, all the women are beautiful and all
That
the
is all.
children are above average.
Okay, so With that, I'll take a motion for our consent agenda approval.
So moved.
Second.
Right,
Yes.
Kappas,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Stengel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. And now that brings us to our second public comment on any subject matter. If you'd like to speak to the Township Committee, please come up to the microphone. You have identify yourself and where you live, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And you can also talk online if you're on Zoom. Is anyone in that? Come on up if you want to.
Hello, my name is Matthew Gibson. I live over on Burnett Street. I just wanted to talk about two things. I did not receive my mail-in ballot this election. I believe it's because Burnett Street is spelled with two T's. On the sign, it says one T. Just wanted to point that out. Getting kind of confusing with the mail. We're missing mail. Another thing I wanted to say was that I think that with regards to the leveling in the schools, I think we should do leveling, but allow the kids and maybe their parents to choose what level they go into. I think that would be a good compromise. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you so much. Burnett Street is 2 Ts, but the sign is 1 T. Right,
Nice.
right. Okay,
So is Google Maps wrong? Is that what the issue is?
No. So the
Go ahead.
the issue is that Burnett in Union has 1 T.
Oh, right.
And Burnett in Maplewood has 2 Ts.
Mm.
So roughly around Florida Street, that's where the signs change. But it shouldn't interfere with letter carrying because they're two entirely different towns.
Yeah, but there is also a lot of Burnett. Right,
That one.
that,
Oh, that Burnett over here.
Yeah.
right,
Oh.
that's probably the
That's
main
even
problem.
Bigger problem because we
Yeah.
have 3 Burnett.
Three Burnett.
Burnett Street,
exactly.
Burnett
We have
Terrace.
Burnett Avenue, Burnett Terrace, and Burnett Street.
Yeah, we hear you.
We like Burnett.
So were you able to vote, if I may ask? Okay,
Okay,
That'll
okay,
work.
great.
good to hear.
I would just suggest that you,
I think it's supposed to be with 1 T.
right,
You can check it because there's
Over there.
1 T over here because some of it is named after a person and and 2 of them are not, I think,
Mm.
or the other way.
I think we should rename a couple of them.
I'll take one.
And I would just suggest, either writing to or letting the Board of Ed know about the leveling comment because we don't control the school's part, but yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to give a comment or a question? Anyone online?
For those joining us on Zoom, if you'd like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now. I will move Shannon Cuttle to public portion.
While you do that, Mayor, do we need to move to continue past 9:30? It's like.
Oh,
I'm
right.
hopeful.
No,
Well, let's,
Not
yeah,
yet.
let's hold out hope. 3 minutes, Shannon.
We
Make
got
it 3.
time.
Welcome to public portion. You may unmute yourself and address the committee.
Hi, everyone. I will make this quick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes,
Okay, great. So I want to thank everybody for all that you're doing. I also just wanted to just acknowledge that November is Transgender Awareness Month and that Transgender Awareness Week is 13th through the 19th. And we also celebrate Transgender Day of Remembrance on November 20th. Our celebration is pending, but just want to remind folks that our community does celebrate the transgender non-binary community and that it's important to uplift now this time more than ever. And I also appreciate, thank you, Mayor Adams, and also Committeeman Dean Daffis for uplifting the community event tomorrow night at 4:30 at across from Town Hall in Maplewood Park as just a coming together gathering. But also just, thank you again. And there will be more information out for the community at our transgender Day of Remembrance event that we usually hold in our community. And just be mindful of that. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other?
Anyone else on Zoom would like to speak in the public portion, please raise your hand now. I see no other hands, Mayor.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Yes.
Stafford.
Yes, good night.
Yes.
Siegel,
yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Peace out.
All victories. Thank you.
That was like